conquer.
A challenging GATE contest engineered to give you an experience like none other.
where you put your knowledge to test.
and battle it out with the best.
To bring out the best in you, Unacademy Combat is the most competitive, gamified contest for GATE till date, with the best of the questions by best educators.
With detailed video solutions from top educators right after each contest.
Combat live with peers to get real-time rankings and win big.
Participate in every contest to improve your ratings.
Challenging contests every fortnight or alternate Sunday. Live ranking after every question. Big rewards for top rankers. Your passion to crack GATE deserves this. Your hard work towards your dream deserves this. Fuel your inner fire for the ultimate GATE challenge. Unacademy Combat. Register now. It's time to experience something glorious. Unacademy Combat. Compete, crack, conquer.
A challenging GATE contest engineered to give you an experience like none other.
Where you put
Hello friends, welcome to the today's session, welcome to Unacademy and welcome to my classes. So in this session, we are going to discuss about the very important protocols as per our GATE curriculum. They are application layer protocols. So one is HTTP, the other one FTP, the other one SMTP, and the other one DNS and DHCP. So before entering into the session, so let us say all our anthem. Crack GATE and ESE with India's largest learning platform, none other than Unacademy. Get Plus subscription and access unlimited live and recorded lectures from India's topmost educators. Dear friends, Unacademy has created a wonderful platform to serve the dedicated students and to fulfill their goals and objectives. Because your goal is ultimately Unacademy's goal, your dream is our dream. So let us all use the platform which is created by topmost educators and dedicated faculty members. And myself is Srinivasrao IS, having more than 15 years of experience in the GATE with the various subjects. Also had industry experience in the database side and the systems side with the relevant good certifications. You all maybe dream about a Cisco certification, but you can able to do just by taking the basics and practical knowledge of Cisco classes. And dear friends, throughout my journey of GATE, I taught in many premium academies with a high success rate. Many of my students are completed their post-graduation from India's topmost educators, and they have got completed their post-graduation from India's topmost institutions like IIT, NIT, Central Universities and IIITs. And really I am proudful that many of my students are also taking GATE classes and they are working as a GATE mentors in many of the institutions. So this is all just because of learning in-depth knowledge, having in-depth knowledge. So whenever you are having in-depth knowledge, the knowledge is going to be your weapon. You can able to utilize wherever and whenever you want. So this in-depth knowledge I can able to share because Unacademy has created a wonderful distributed platform. That's why I am here to interact with all of you. So the all credit goes to Unacademy. So according to that, there are few different courses are available. One is a plus course and the other one iconic. And plus course, once you become a plus course member, then you are going to see that and dedicated sessions, live sessions, mock quiz and mental ability test and many others, whatnot. So 24/7 the Unacademy is working towards your success. So be a part of Unacademy just by taking an admission. Just to give your valuable admission, then Unacademy is going to take care of the rest of the things. And the other one, Iconic subscription. Iconic subscription is a unique program which is offering by Unacademy, which consists of plus course as well as 1:1 personal guidance. So this is a wonderful program. That's a 1:1 training. So if you're already a plus member, then immediately switch over to Iconic and see that you're going to get a dedicated guidance. And according to the subscription of a plus, so you focus on to either long-term or a super long-term plans. So current 4th year can opt, and the 2nd and 3rd year students can opt for this. And the 1st and all other students can able to opt a super long-term course. So according to my suggestion, better you feel free to take 24-month super long-term course if you are a 1st, 2nd and 3rd year student. Once you become a super long-term student, then you see that. So multiple number of times and multiple different faculty lectures, you are in a position to learn. So instead of going hurry and rush, so take your course and see that you're going to get 100% confidence to clear your competitive examination. And the other one is, so use my referral code to get the admission into Unacademy. So once you use my referral code, I'm going to be your guide throughout your journey. I'm also going to travel with you. And there are few kinds of subscriptions like this. After applying my referral code on Plus, you're going to get the final prices like this. So utilize these concessions also apart from the content. And the other one is Iconic subscription, where you're having a 12 months and 24 months. My referral code is also helpful in this. So use my referral code and see that you're going to get my guidance especially. So guidance is very, very important because the do's and don'ts within the 3 hours duration of the time. So do's and don'ts are very much important. And apart from my guidance, all my alumni also is going to help you. So use my referral code, you're going to get a maximized concession on this. So these are the final prices. And dear friends, if you are having any doubts, you can reach us just by filling this form. Fill this form, and Unacademy is going to direct a member who can help you and solve all your queries. Now friends, let us start our session. Our session, the first protocol is HTTP, very, very important protocol in the examination. So 1 mark damn sure questions, and this lecture, 1 hour duration of lecture, please concentrate. So whenever you talk about the HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, so you all may have a doubt that what is the difference between your normal text and what is the difference between your hypertext. So we know that we are going to write the HTTP programs. That means in order to run a particular thing which is by HTTP protocol, either you use any kind of web programming languages starts with HTML. So what is the difference between normal text and hypertext is? So normal text is visible, but hypertext is invisible. So you want to say that invisibility, that means the action is supposed to be done, background action, methods are going to be executed, and your text is not going to be visible. But if you write a normal code without the tags of your HTML, then you can see that the text is going to be visible, or the image is going to be visible, or video and audio is going to be visible. But whenever you write something in the tag of your hyperlanguage, then you see that you're going to have, you see that you're going to have invisibility. That means the background action is going to run, but not the direct text is going to visible. So according to your HTTP is mainly a client server protocol, which is mainly for web browser protocol. The protocol standards are inbuilt in your web browsers like a Chrome, like Internet Explorer, Mozilla, Opera, whatnot, any kind of browser. They're supposed to have the standards of HTTP. Then that's why whenever you type HTTP, then automatically the browser can able to recognize the standards of your HTTP. So nowadays the HTTP is replaced with the S. Therefore, dear friends, now we are using HTTPS. That means a secure transmission. HTTP plus SSL we are using nowadays to provide the secure transmission. So whenever you talk about, this is one of the very important question. HTTP is by default follows a transmission control protocol. And the other one, it is a stateless. Why stateless? The server is not going to maintain any kind of connection history about the clients who are just connected to the server. So that's why it is a stateless, and it is going to run hyper content. So it is not a store characteristics of your previous connection, as I told you. While closing the connection and the client characteristics are going to be removed from your web server, every time it is going to refresh itself. But the client browser can maintain cache entries unless and until you clear your cache, and the history is going to be maintained, but the server is not going to maintain any details about the client connections. That's why it is a stateless. And the next important point is, so you may use SSL to provide the security, secure socket layer. So we are also having IPsec, Internet Protocol with the sec. Now you see that it is a synchronous protocol. That's a very important question. So what is the meaning of synchronous protocol? I can able to directly interact with the server. There is no kind of a middle action is required. So therefore, it is a synchronous protocol. And it is not based on store and forward mechanism. What is a store and forward mechanism? Whenever client asks something, then the server immediately is going to respond. It is a client and server protocol only. Whenever client asks something, then immediately the server is going to reply. So that's why it is not a concept of what? Store and forward mechanism. And there are some protocols which follow store and forward mechanism. I will tell you, just let us continue. So whenever you call for any kind of a website which is under www, and few actions are going to be done. One is, so searching for the domain, DNS, and a head, what kind of a browser version you are using, and a get, you want to download anything or not. Now you see it has got two types of messages. It is called request and reply protocol. So client is going to give you a request and the server is going to give you a reply. Now you see, upon the request, the server is going to give you a reply. For example, you want to access google.com. So the client is going to type, so google.com. You need not type http://www.google.com because http:// is inbuilt available in the browser itself only. That's why every time the browser vendors are going to ask you to update your browser just because to enhance your browser capability and to provide the securities. So whenever client asks that google.com, that means a Google server here. This is a Google server top level domain. Now you see, in order to get this content onto your browser, there are 4 steps you're supposed to follow. First step is searching for Google domain searching. Unless the domain is available under www, you cannot able to access any kind of a content from your www.google.com. The first domain search step is going to be executed. If domain not available, it will give you page not found 404 error. That means the page not found. If domain available, as it HTTP depends on TCP, then TCP connection is going to be established. After that, the client request I am going to accept, and finally we are going to see that what a reply from this server. So these are in order. You should not change. You should not change this order. According to this order only the information is going to be retrieved, or the information you can able to place into web or from web. Now if you listen this point, so request and reply, it is mainly access the data from your www. So far we learned a few important points. It is a TCP based and it is a stateless, and the other one is a what? It's based on synchronous. And next one, now we want to see that HTTP is the combination of FTP and SMTP. Why HTTP is a combination of FTP and SMTP? Using FTP concept, I can download or I can upload to HTTP. Using SMTP combination, I can pushing the content. So that's why it is having both the functionalities like FTP and SMTP. In that one is a store and forward. Now let us see. It is similar to FTP because it can able to transfer the files using the services of TCP. And HTTP messages are exchanged between only browser and web server. No other activity is there. And according to HTTP with SMTP, how it works? HTTP like SMTP, because the data is transferred between client and the server. That's why it looks like what? SMTP messages. In addition, you can also have the concept of multi-purpose internet mail extensions, MIME. So here I said, as it is not a store and forward because of what SMTP. What the SMTP? SMTP messages are stored and forwarded, but your HTTP messages are directly delivered immediately without storing. Now what is the HTTP process? I already told you 4 important steps. First, browser resolves the domain using domain name system, and the web browser establishes the TCP connection with your web server, and the web browser is going to give you a request for a web page, and the web server is going to give you a reply. Now there are 2 types of your web pages. So anyhow point has come, I want to explain. So one of the previous 2 times gate record question this is. Your web pages are 2 varieties. One is static pages. The other one is dynamic pages. So dynamic pages means I can able to write a PHP. Static pages means I can able to write with the help of HTML. Now this I can able to write using the HTML or PHP, whatever it may be. Now you see, you want to access this static pages, and for example this is your web page, which is completely written with static programming I have used. Now you want to access this page. You want to access this page, and what is required? You need to establish, please understand, you need to establish one TCP connection to access this page, and you need to give one HTTP request. one HTTP request to access this page. Now listen, inside there is a one object is there. This is a one object and another object is also there. This is how we asked the question. I want to access these objects. As it is a static, then what are you going to do? The HTTP once again you need to go for object 1. This HTTP once again you need to go for object 2. Therefore, HTTP is required 3 times according to this scenario. One for to access your page and another one for to access your objects. As many objects are there, those many. So I will tell you later on what is a persistent, what not non-persistent, we will see. But according to static, I am saying this is. So, and TCP is also mandatory for every kind of your object accessing. According to this case, the TCP is used 3 times and HTTP is also used 3 times. This is what is the meaning of accessing a static pages. But nowadays it's completely on demand dynamic pages only. So you want to access dynamic pages, this is reverse. That is one HTTP, only one TCP. It's a beautiful, it is going to refer to many number of objects. That's why we are going to believe in dynamic pages. HTTP is going to perfectly work with the dynamic pages, not with the static pages. Nowadays the static pages are being removed. That is a 1.0, HTTP 1.0, which I am just talking about. But when you talk about the 1.1 and 2.0, it's for dynamic content. Only one HTTP will shoot out entire content. Only one TCP, it's a permanently available your connection. Now let us concentrate. What is the next one? So HTTP connections are 2 varieties, non-persistent and persistent. So what is the difference between, as I told you, if you are using a non-persistent, for every object you are supposed to create a TCP connection. This is what is the meaning of non-persistent TCP connection. As I told you in the previous example, such that if there are 2 objects are there is a requirement of one TCP connection. This is for object 1. You want to access another object, again you need to go for one more TCP connection. So therefore, every object require one individual connections. That's why as there are n clicks are there, you need to have n TCP connections. That's why it is a very slow. So when I was a student, so HTTP 1.0 we used to work. Nowadays we are seeing that the connection is going to be live. That means it is not going to be immediately disclosed. That's a persistent. What is the meaning of persistent? So even you want to access any number of objects, I don't mind. Once the TCP connection is established, that is going to be alive for n number of objects till you close it. So according to that, your TCP connection is live. So that's what the difference. So as many objects you have, I don't mind, I am going to show only one TCP when you are using a persistent connection. When you are using a non-persistent connection, for every object, for every click, you have to establish a what? One TCP connection. Now, that's why HTTP 1.1 and 2.0 are the advanced standards. They are following a persistent. According to that, one HTTP, one TCP is sufficient to get the content from your web server. Now, as I told you, the non-persistent connection is nothing but at most one object is sent to our one TCP connection, not more than that. So, in non-persistent connection, one TCP connection made for each request and response. For example, in your mobile, if you just refresh from top to bottom, then what is going to happen? Another TCP connection is going to be established. But nowadays we are not using a concept of what this, we are using a persistent. What is the drawback? For n different pictures and n different files are there, then you need to open those many connections. So the non-persistent strategy imposes high overhead on the server. Every time it has to establish TCP. When I talk that, it is imposing three-way handshake protocol. Please understand. When I am clicking on one object using a non-persistent, every time you are establishing three-way handshake protocol, because TCP is a three-way handshake protocol. That's why it imposes lots of overhead onto your server. And the server needs n different buffers and requires a what? Slow start procedure each time a connection is open. So the next one is a persistent connection. So multiple objects can be sent over a single TCP connection between client and the server. So these are the standards. The server leaves the connection open for more number of requests even after sending a response. The server can close the connection at the request of a client or a timeout has been reached. HTTP is also going to provide a round trip time. That's also called as a what? Response time. It's nothing but round trip time. That means a client asked some information from your any kind of a server, which may be a Google or which may be anything. Then immediately it has to give you the response, and that kind of response is nothing but round trip time. So these are the steps for persistent connection. So the client opens a TCP connection using a three-way handshake protocol and sends a request. The server sends a response and closes the connection. The client reads the data until it encodes a what? End of the file marker, then it closes the connection. Now HTTP response times. So it is going to give you one RTT is for initiate TCP connections, and another RTT for getting a request and getting a what? Responses. So one RTT is initiate the TCP connection because the three-way handshake protocol is implemented before you start accessing the data. After that, your data request and data reply. That's why your file transmission time is nothing but what? 2 into your RTT, because one RTT for your TCP connection and one RTT for your getting data exchanges, and your TT transmission time is also required. So this is about persistent HTTP. Server leaves the connection in an open mode after sending a response. Subsequent HTTP messages between same server and client can be sent over the same connection. And in persistent, there are two varieties: persistent with pipelining and persistent without pipeline. So when you give a request, then immediately the client is going to give a request whenever response has been received. So every time you need to consider what? One RTT for each reference object. So only small amount of RTT for all the referenced objects. That's why nowadays we are following a what? With the pipelining mechanism. That means, as I already told you as an example, such that there are multiple number of objects are there on your web page. I want to access them. And I'm using persistent only, don't mind, but the two varieties are there. So this requires one RTT and this requires another RTT and this requires another RTT. So one TCP connection, I don't mind that. I am using only one TCP connection here, and I am using a what? HTTP connection is also one. But the thing is that it is going to be very slow because it is taking a one round trip time on every object. But if you are using a persistent with a pipelining mechanism, then you see that. So one RTT, a very small amount of RTT for all the referenced objects. That's the meaning of what? Pipelining. So during a waiting time at the other side, the data is going to be exchanged. Already we land in the data link layer concept. So what are the different methods are there? This is a very important point. HTTP has got safe and unsafe methods. Unsafe means what? No problem whatsoever at the server side. And unsafe methods are nothing but they are going to harm onto your server. And the safe methods are no problem whatsoever at the other side. So the safe methods are head. Even you are having in your browser head also, head option is also there. The head will give you that what type of a browser you are having, what type of HTTP you are having, whether 1.0 or 2.0, and that kind of metadata information you want. So information about information you want, you please follow head. So head is a mandatory for any kind of what HTTP protocol. This will give you one kind of history so that with what kind of browser you are asking and what is the HTTP you are asking and whether you are using a persistent and non-persistent, that information is available in the head. And get is nothing but what? Getting some data from your server and a tracing for your connection. And connect system call is reserved to establish the three-way handshake protocol. And put is a place some kind of a content in the server. That's why you are trying to manipulate the content. Post is also similar, deleting the content from your web server. That's why they are all comes under into unsafe methods. So let us see about individual attribute head. So name of the browser, type of the browser, type of the OS, version of the OS. If head is successful, then get method is going to be used. A get is getting the resources from the server. And post is used to access and modify the content in the server. And put is used to create the object in the server. And delete is trying to delete the content from the server. And delete is hard delete and soft deletes. And connect is nothing but what? To establish the secure connection between a client and the server. So unless the connection is established, you cannot able to transmit the data. So HTTP response codes are there. You know, naturally, we are all experienced, especially 404 error is not found. But remaining are inbuilt only. What is that? You might not be aware because internal things they are 200 series. They are for request and reply, and 301 series moving, and 400 series a bad request. For example, you are typing a wrong domain name, then you are going to see that 400 series errors, and 500 series metadata is not supported. Some of the browsers in your mobile or in your laptop, they will say that I am incompatible with you. You have to update your operating system. That kind of errors are coming from 500 series. So 2, 3, 4, 500 series are a different HTTP response status code. Yeah, friends, and now let us see that a simple mail transfer protocol. So before entering into simple mail transfer protocol, I want to ask you one question. Please be ready. So there is a dynamic web page. This is a dynamic page which consists of 4 objects, and he is asking that I am using persistent HTTP. So when you are using a persistent HTTP, he is asking how many TCP connections you need and how many HTTP connections you need to read the complete content from your web page. And we all can give you answer as what? This is a 1 and this is a 1. If I am using the same story, persistent HTTP, and it's not the dynamic page, it is a static page. Now you observe that how many TCP connections required and how many HTTP connections required. You just tell me through comments. So I said this is a perfect according to this. Now according to this, I am using a persistent HTTP only, but I am using a static page. It's not the dynamic page. And there are 4 objects are there. Static page with 4 objects. Now how many TCP connections you need and how many HTTP connections you need. Now, so you can solve it. And finally, I am going to give you the final example. You may guess what I am going to ask you. So it is a static page, and I am using a non-persistent HTTP, and I am using 4 objects. Now you decide how many TCP connections and how many HTTP requests are needed. Just to give your comment. Now let us talk about the simple mail transfer protocol. And we know that HTTP port number is 80 because you please observe whenever you are talking about the port numbers, server side always you supposed to use a well-known port numbers only. So what are the well-known port numbers? We know that they are 0 to 1023. As today we are learning in the class that HTTP is following one of the well-known port number known as 80. And in the same way, SMTP is also well-known port number. It's a server side. Then we are having a port number called 25. And FTP is also server side. And you are having 2 connections here, 20 and 21. And we are also having DHCP and DNS. They are all server side port numbers you're supposed to allocate. So what is the meaning of simple mail transfer protocol? So it is a secure, SMTP is a secure. It is for pushing the mail. Please understand. It is for pushing the mail, not the pulling the mail. It is based on push and pull. Pushing means sending the mail. Pulling means receiving the mail. You want to receive the mail, you're supposed to have a what? Either IMAP or POP protocol. Post office protocol or IMAP protocol you need. But right now we are learning about SMTP. It's completely just only delivery process on transferring of your mail to the other particular mail server. Here we are not going to talk that web server because web server you can able to access through HTTP, but mail server you can able to access through SMTP and IMAP protocol or post office protocol. Right now we people are not using POP2 and POP3 with the port number 109 and 110. We are using IMAP because IMAP is an extraordinary protocol. Right now we are using in all the mail servers like Gmail, like Yahoo Mail, Rediff, and any kind of a mail you can able to access. So when you talk about the pushing mail, it needs some kind of a secure. That security you can able to maintain with the help of what? TCP. That's why SMTP is also following what? TCP. So it is a host to host and a client to client based. Host to host and client to client based. And SMTP is only for transferring of your mail, construction to transferring of a mail to other party. Nothing but when you are doing a compose, and when I am saying that send mail, the up to send mail, the SMTP is going to take care. That means from your agent, from your interface, from client interface, we are just sending the information to server inbox. So the server is responsible to deliver the mail to exact other side party. Now let us see what are the different kinds of important points are there in SMTP. It is also TCP based. It is a host to host transfer protocol. In between, there is a mail server is going to act. So client directly cannot able to send a mail to the client. It's a regular message. It's not a regular message. So you need to first to send it to what? A server. The server is going to take your data and it is trying to push it to other particular guy. So it is a pushing mechanism. It is a text-based protocol. It do not have any kind of a graphics. It is only supporting 7-bit ASCII. It is only supporting 7-bit ASCII. But how are you seeing nowadays the graphics on your mails? For example, we are accessing Gmail. Then you are seeing that beautiful options you are going to get. So how you are going to get? That you are going to get using a what? MIME. That means all kinds of multimedia activities are taken care by MIME in order to do the favor to your SMTP protocol, because your SMTP is a text-based protocol. But it has got embedded with MIME features. So multi-mode, multi-purpose internet mail extension features where you can able to do what? This kind of multimedia activities. I can embed the image, I can embed the audio, video, whatnot. Everything is happening because of what? MIME. So SMTP is based on what? Pushing. Pulling is done by IMAP or POP protocols. So SMTP is persistent. This is very important. And it is following a 7-bit ASCII. So it should know that where is the end of the message. Therefore, there is a requirement of a tagline CRLF. The actual mail transfer done through message transfer agents. There are 3 agents are there in order to send and in order to receive your mail. For example, you want to transfer from to one party to other party. So 3 agents are going to collectively work in order to push the mail to the other party. There are 3 user agents are there. So the guy number 1, MUA, mail user agent, mail transfer agent, mail delivery agents. So 3 agents are there. The mail user agent, so when you open a Gmail, you're going to see an interface. That is only mail user agent. When you talk about the mail transfer agent, when you say send mail, then the MTA is going to take care. Then MDA is trying to take that mail and try to see that who is the exact other party recipient, and it identifies that who is that other party and try to put that particular mail in his inbox. So 3 important points: mail user agent, mail transfer agent, and mail delivery agent. So SMTP is going to work 2 times while you are sending the mail. One time from client to the client mail server, and from client mail server to the recipient mail server. So SMTP is used twice in order to push your mail. So between sender and the sender mail server, and the sender mail server to the recipient mail server. So to send the mail, use MTA. To receive the mail, the system must have server MTA and MDA. And I have not mentioned about MUA. MUA is nothing but your direct interface, what you are seeing on Gmail or Yahoo Mail. So this is the mailing process, dear friends. What is the mailing process? Some X would like to access. Some X would like to transmit data through mail server. Mailing is also nothing but transferring your data only, but in a different format. So you cannot use a normal servers, you have to use a mail servers. So mail servers are different from your, what I mean to say, web servers. So first you need to have mail user agent. because I want to write inbox now. I want to compose a mail. They are all the options which are there in your interface only. That interface is nothing but MUA, user agent. So accessing your MUA, I can able to send that queue of emails. So they are in the queue to push one by one, one by one, one by one. So as you are accessing MUA, indirectly you are accessing SMTP. Because MUA is one of the part of your SMTP, and now this SMTP is trying to push your mail to other particular site. But first it comes to your mail server. So that is coming, and it is coming exactly here. So when you say that after composing the mail, when I say send option, then MTA is going to fire message transfer agent, which sends the message to other mail servers. Immediately it comes to other mail server. As you are accessing MTA, MTA is one of the agent of your SMTP. So SMTP is used twice, as I told you. One is at client to your mail server, and the other one between two mail servers. As SMTP is what? TCP based. So TCP connection number supposed to be. Then from that server, it is going to push the mail to the other party, and now we are having MDA, mail delivery agent, which is going to exactly place the particular mail in a recipient inbox. Then how the other guy is going to access the mail? Again you will have MUA. That side also you will have MUA. So he has got interface. Use this interface and access that particular mail. This is the mailing process. So now this completely requires two protocols, SMTP and IMAP. So IMAP comes into the last step, and SMTP is used in the first two steps, writing the mails and sending the mails. And other side, IMAP protocol is going to give you delivering the mails. So what are the components of SMTP? I already told you: user agent, transfer agent, delivery agent. So user agent is nothing but it is an interface through which user can read or send mails. MTA, whenever you talk, it acts like a mail router. Router means it can takes as well as it can sends, accepting messages from both MTAs and MUAs. And based on the message header, the MTA decides that what delivery method should be used and pass the message to the correct mail delivery agent. And mail delivery agent accepts the message from your MTAs and delivers the message to the appropriate inbox location. So different commands which are there with your SMTP. Number one, hello. This is one of your GATE question. So previous year GATE question, HELO belongs to which protocol? That is the previous GATE question. So HELO belongs to SMTP. And greetings belongs to which protocol? Greetings belongs to your IMAP protocol or post office protocol, POP version 2, version 3. Prompt, very recent GATE question, prompt belongs to which of the protocol? That is FTP. So this kind of general knowledge questions are also going to be asked. So hello is nothing but sender's host name. So that guy is going to see that, and mail from the sender of the message, recipient to a recipient name, and the data is nothing but body of the mail, verify name of the recipient to be verified. If not, you are going to get a daemon error. If verification is a failed, the recipient address verification is a fail, you are going to get a mail daemon, mailer daemon error. That means the address not found. And the other one is that mailing list to be expanded. Help is nothing but command. So these are the important commands which are there with the SMTP. And as I told you, SMTP is a text-based protocol. All its graphic-oriented things you can able to use with the help of MIME. And the next one is file transfer protocol. So when you talk about the file transfer protocol, we people are very much aware. In YouTube, you are downloading and you are uploading into your channels is completely based on FTP. You are trying to, for example, you are having a web server, you want to modify the content. So we are going to add a new particular file into that web server. That means you are uploading it and you are downloading it. So to do any kind of uploading and downloading, there is a requirement of FTP. But FTP directly you cannot able to use. There are many interfaces have come, many softwares have come, which inbuilt has got FTP capability, like FileZilla. If you are taking this FileZilla software, you can, this is only for FTP only. I can able to do uploads and downloads of your corresponding domain of your server. So especially FTP is meant for getting the things and putting the things, known as mget and mput uploads. Let us see how and what are the different important points are there in FTP. We will see. It is also secure, TCP based only. It is also persistent, one TCP connection only. It is a stateful. The server maintains the connection details of the client. Please understand. Server maintains the connection details about the client. And it is not a store and forward based. It's a client server one only. Directly a client is going to interact with the what server. It's a synchronous protocol because a client is directly contacting to what? A server. So now you see, whenever I just connect it to your domain, either using a FileZilla or many kind of softwares are there, FTP softwares, then immediately it is going to open two connections for you. One connection to exchange the data between client and the server. The other connection is a what? Control connection. So you are having a two connections, especially in only one protocol called FTP and TFTP. Trivial file transfer protocol and file transfer protocol. Two different connections you are having. One is for data and the other one is for what? Control. How did you get them? Just you see this point. Whenever a request comes from a client and the server immediately asks for fork system call, very important point. Then immediately server is going to execute a fork system call. It opens two flavors, one for client, one for server, and you see that you got two connections. Client proposes active mode, server proposes passive mode. And it opens two connections. One is for data exchange with the port number 20. The other one is a control connection with the port number 21. This is a live. This is a keep on live unless and until you close it. But this is when one download completed, connection is closed. When one upload is completed, connection is closed. But you see that this control connection is alive as long as you're accessing the particular server. So according to the data connection, once the data transferring is done, then immediately data connection will be lost. So and a client will always be in active open state. And a client side, we use a dynamic ports because he is a client. So short-lived ports only we want to give for the clients. Please recollect a TCP lecture. Only short-lived ephemeral port numbers only we are allowing to clients, but well-known port numbers we are giving to servers. So server-side port numbers are this, and any kind of a port number you can able to access to, or you can able to permit to access by clients. And the server will also always be in the passive open. So FTP is authorized. It need a username and password. For example, if you are having any blog, you are maintaining some pages in your blog, so somebody must not access it and immediately do what manipulation. They have to have a username and password. That other authentication and authorization is there with FTP. So soon after you enter your username and password, if at all it is correct, then it will open a one by big dialog box where all your web pages, blog pages are available. There you can able to do whatever you want. So FTP, no flow control. It is also having a set of commands. First, let us see modes of operations. Active mode. So get connection with the same address. So for example, one data file is completed. Again, you want data file, you can able to connect because control connection is live. And passive mode. Server generates a dynamic address and it is being connected with a client. Extended passive mode, you can able to have some kind of filterings with the help of firewall. So what the FTP commands are there? Username is a mandatory, password is a mandatory, put for sending it uploads, get for downloads. This is your previous GATE question as I told you. Hash. This is going to indicate that how much percentage uploads and downloads have done. So that's the meaning of hash indicates progress of your transfer. And prompt users before the file transfer. Binary and ASCII format and exit. So we are also having some kind of written codes according to the FTP. 300 series username and password is okay. 125 data connection is already open, transfer is starting. 425 cannot open a data connection. 400 series. 400 series error writing file. 400 series is always for what? Error reporting messages. And the next protocol is DHCP. So dynamic host configuration protocol. What is the specialty of DHCP? Right now we people are all using. Simple example I want to give. If you are having internet Wi-Fi enabled router in your home, just you access a Wi-Fi from your mobile, automatically address will be assigned to your Wi-Fi, your mobile. So I need not manually configure the IP address. For example, you are giving you from your mobile hotspot. When you give hotspot to other guy, then the other guy is simply accessing your internet. How? This is just based on what DHCP configurations. So automatic address assignment is going to be done using a DHCP. Earlier we were having a bootp protocol. As a bootp is a static protocol, we are not using nowadays. So in place of bootp, that's a static address allocation. Now dynamic host configuration protocol is implemented because automatic address is happening. So upon your request, the server is going to give you a reply with address. So what kind of a request you need? Let me show you. So whenever a client is connecting to your Wi-Fi, when you click onto your Wi-Fi, it will show that to whom to connect. So when you ask that particular person or particular access point, then you are indirectly is supplying your MAC address. So immediately the server takes that MAC address. The server takes that MAC address. It will sustain that MAC address with you, the server, and the server is going to give you IP address, automatic IP address. That's it. When you get the IP address, you got connected to that Wi-Fi. I can able to do anything. Exchanging of your normal data or exchanging of your internet data if you provide a hotspot also. So here what is going to happen? The client will give you MAC address, server will give you IP address, which means MAC to IP MAC to IP conversion happening. That means indirectly DHCP is running. What? When I give my MAC address, it is giving you IP address. So it is going to implement RARP, a reverse address resolution protocol. Address resolution protocol means if you provide me an IP, I can able to give you the MAC. Please recollect ARP and RARP. So what is the point? When you give, for example, if a client will give me IP to address resolution protocol, immediately it will give back MAC address. But here it is happening reverse. What is happening reverse? You are giving me a MAC, then I am going to give you IP address. So let us see how DHCP is going to work. So important points I am underlining, please go through before going to exam. It is a client server protocol which is providing MAC address to logical address mapping. Please understand carefully. Physical address to logical address mapping. So it is very similar to one of the protocol which is working at the application layer. So the administrator may put the client and the server on the same network because you just got connected to your Wi-Fi. BootP messages are encapsulated into UDP and UDP further encapsulated into IP. I already told you in the last session. But it is static. Why it is static? You need to register first, then it is going to give you allocation. So dynamic host configuration protocol is similar to BootP but in advanced stage. Here address releasing is also happening. So every 15 days or every 7 days or every 30 days, your address is going to be changed. Your IP address is not going to be permanently available in your system unless and until you go for MAC reservation in DHCP protocol. But here, as long as you are not having a MAC reservation, in your mobile also MAC reservation is there. Please check in the settings. As long as you are using a non-reserved DHCP, then what is going to happen? After some days, your addresses are going to be releasing and renew is going to be happening. So it is application layer protocol. So BootP is one of the drawback is it's not a dynamic. When a client requests IP address, the BootP server consults the table that matches the physical address of the client with its IP address. So every time it has to ask your map table. But DHCP is a different story. Automatically the address assignment is going to be done according to the following steps. What is it? Automatic allocation. A permanent IP address is assigned to your client by MAC reservation. Dynamic allocation. An IP address is assigned to a client for a limited period. After that it has to be released and it has to be renewed. Manual allocation. This is no way belongs to DHCP. Manual allocation means what? Statically you need to enter your IP address in the system. So this is a no way concern to your DHCP. So according to this point, you want to do MAC bind reservation. Now I can able to do. It is a permanent address. So you need to write that so and so MAC address of other party and give an IP. That IP is a permanent to that party. That's why it is a what? Manual allocation. So DHCP is mainly based on 4 steps. DORA. What is DORA? Client is asking about IP address to DHCP server. It is a normal server only where you are running DHCP software or protocol. Don't forget that. So when you run this particular protocol or a software onto your server, onto your computer, and now it is going to act as a what? DHCP server, which is dedicatedly trying to allocate the IP address to the client by giving a MAC address. So first, discovery is going to happen. D stands for discovery. So broadcast and ask for IP addresses. DHCP clients broadcast your request and ask for IP addresses. D. And the server is going to offering. Server is going to offering. Second step. Server is going to offering O. And the client is going to request R. And the server is going to give you acknowledgement A. That's why it is called DORA. D-O-R-A. First step is you have to broadcast your request and ask for IP address. And the server is going to offer IP addresses. And immediately you need to ask for selected IP address. Then you are going to give you what? Either acknowledgement or decline. This is how about DHCP. And the last one is a domain name system. What is a domain name system? And nowadays, when you are asking that google.com, here Google is your domain name. And Google is your domain name. You can type up to 255 characters. And your names can be separated with the help of dots. And this is your top level domain. And preceded by dot. What is the meaning of this? Actually, this is how we are going to access it. In between, preceded by http://www. This is not required, ignorable. This is ignorable because the browser can understand what is that. So your domain name is going to start with a dot, google.com. Here Google is your domain name and com is your top level generic domain, and your this root is your root level domain. Root level domain. So that means your domain name is going to end with a dot. Your domain name is going to end with a dot is called as a what? A root level domain. And your domain names are going to be stored in inverted tree structure. You need to, while reading, I am reading like this www.google.com, but how it stores? Inverted tree structure it stores. What is that? Com. Under com, we are having what? A Google, and your, it is how it is going to store your inverted tree structure. All your domain names are going to be stored in inverted tree structure only. Okay. Likewise, how many levels I can have from your top level domains to bottom level domains? I can have up to 127 to 128 levels you can have like that. But naturally, we people uses only 2 level domain or 3 level domain. As somebody is going for an example that I want to say that xyz123 dot and pqr.com. So here I am using 1, 2, 3, 4 and dot. 5 level domains I am using. So the root is at top, com will be stored, pqr, under that 1, 2, 3, under that xyz. But you need to read from leaf to the road. Don't forget that. While you are scanning your tree, you need to read from leaf to road. But while storing into the tree, it is going to store in inverted tree structure. So now let us see. DNS provides the mapping between two nodes. Each node in the tree must have a label, and sibling nodes must have a unique labels. That's why your domain names are always unique, friends. Don't forget that. That's why before creation your domain name, it will cross check in the entire www whether the domain is available or not. If not available, then you can able to give it. The null is reserved for root node. This important point. And siblings must have unique labels, important point. And in -addr-dot-alpha-dot-zone, which translates numbers to names, and DNS is a what? Lightweight protocol. So it uses, most of the time DNS is preferable for UDP because it's a lightweight protocol. And translation service, address translation service, name to IP and IP to name, the translation service is done by UDP only. But replication is going to be done using a what? TCP. So address translation. So what is the meaning of address translation? So address translation is nothing but users are using URL and the system is going to give IP address to map the URL with IP addresses, right? Don't think that you are asking google.com. When you are asking google.com, the Google is going to give us some number, 10 point, 10 point, 100 point, 100, assume. Then this translation is going to give you this name to IP number. Don't forget that. So in real-time communication, you want to access what is the Google IP, connect to internet, type ping google.com. When you type in google.com, you will understand that what is the IP of the current IP of your Google you are going to see. And take that IP, put it in the browser, you will get once again Google only. So this translation can be done. Name to IP, IP to name can be done using a what? Address translation with the help of forward lookup zone and reverse lookup zone. Forward lookup zone means if you give me name, I will give you IP. A reverse lookup zone means I told you no, take Google IP, put it in the browser, then it is going to translate it. So name to IP and IP to name translations are going to happen with the help of forward lookup zone and reverse lookup zone. And what is a domain name? As I told you, either Yahoo or Amazon or any kind of domains you can take, Star Sports, whatever it may be, they are all domains only. And your domain levels can be separated using dots. So it's nothing but sequence of labels, and from node root to separated by dots. The namespace can have up to 120 levels. I told you escalation. So domain names can be having a 255 characters length, and your domain names are going to stored in inverted tree structure from root to your leaf. But scanning you need to read from leaf to root, and each node has a label, and the root node has a what? Dot, null value. So each node in the tree has a domain name, and domain name sequence of labels are separated by dots, as we already seen this. There are two kinds of domain names: fully qualified domain name, FQDN, partially qualified domain name. In the browser, if I say the GOO, it is a partially qualified domain name. So you want fully qualified domain name, you need to write completely. Then it is a what? Fully qualified domain name. The fully qualified domain name ends with a null. Don't forget that, ends with a null. It's nothing but root. So if a label is terminated by a null string, then it is called as a fully qualified domain name. That contains a full name of your host. And when you talk about the partially qualified domain name, the label is not terminated by a null string. So therefore, the PQDN starts from a node, but it not reach to the root. It not reach the root. Middle only it is going to stop. For example, you see my domain name is xyz123.abc.com. If I type completely, then it is FQDN. If I am saying that something like this, XYZ I say, then it is a PQDN. You cannot reach to the last point. You cannot reach to the last point. Please understand, because you are stopping at the first level itself only. So you are stopping this point only. You are not scanning the rest of the thing. That's why it is a PQDN. So few types of domains are there: generic domains and country level domains. What is a generic domains? Please listen: com, org, and net.net, and education, and gov. These are all generic domains. Under that you are supposed to register, right? What is a country level domains? Country level domains are nothing but nowadays the domain names are separated using like this: .in India, .uk, .usa. So these are all country level domains, right? For example, I want to write something like xyz.edu.in. So xyz is your domain name which is registered in the generic domain education, which is belongs to India. So what is the process of DNS query? So when a user submitting a request, nothing but URL, then it checks for IP. If available in the router, immediately will get back. If not available, it asks the internet service provider. And internet service provider in contact asks a root server. Root servers are nothing but com, edu, and top level domains. They are all. So TLD it stands for top level domains. So DNS components. Domain namespace. You need a space to register your domain, and different servers are there, like a root server, authoritative servers, and resolver, name resolution. Nothing but translation is also required. So domain namespace. Entire your internet is divided into different domain name. So to have hierarchical namespace, a domain namespace was designed. So it is going to store inverted tree structure. So what are the servers we are having? Root name server RS. Top level domains, they are nothing but com, gov, org, they are all. Authoritative server, which is going to store information about your zones. This is authoritative server. And local DNS server, local cache entries. So what is the name server? So stores the information about namespace in the units called zones. So different kinds of zones we are having. And if the name server stores the complete information about the zone, then it is authoritative. Usually more than one name server can be authoritative for the same zone. This ensures that redundancy. Please understand carefully. You want to download some movie. So when you download some movie from torrent, then it is going to give you different domains. In that, it is going to give you the first priority, the shortest domain only. So shortest length, the shortest length domain. So that's what. So it is going to maintain about multiple domains, authoritative servers, which are trying to store the information about the zones, and it spreads the load. So it is not going to have the burden on the single server, multiple servers. You want to access the result, don't directly access on a single server, because he is going to give you multiple servers also. So this is how the domains into zones. So the topmost is a root. In that you are having your authoritative servers like R, com, edu, topmost level domains. In that your domain name is registered. And you can have any levels you can have, but it is going to inserted as an entry from what? Root to leaf, but scanning from leaf to root. So types of name servers: authoritative and caching. So the authoritative is nothing but maintains the data about a complete zone. So master, where data is edited, slave, where data is duplicated. So this is the name server process. You can study. So response, resolve, and you're going to get a query. So what is the resolution? Mapping a name to an address or address to name is nothing but address translation, address resolution. One of the main important functionality of DNS is resolution only, translation and replication. Well, who is the resolver? He is one of the component. DNS designed a client server application that maps an address to a name or a name to an IP. It is trying to access the closest to DNS server to map the request. Very closest. It is not going to take the longer distance because delays are going to be more. And DNS can use a what? UDP or TCP. Please listen. When I am saying google.com, as I already told you, then immediately it is going to resolve. It is going to interact with IP. This is nothing but forward lookup zone. I can also do reverse that. Reverse lookup zone, resolving. I am giving you IP, then resolver is going to give you name. This is a reverse lookup zone. So dear friends, DNS has got 5 records. These are called resource records. Very important. So name, time to live, and type of, whether it is a mail server or whether it is a normal address server or whether it is a name server. So these are the different types of attributes are there. So what are the main functionalities of DNS? Number 1, name translation with the help of resolver. Number 2, host aliasing, mail aliasing, and load balancing. I said now it is going to maintain a what? Duplicates, a replication. A duplication it is going to maintain, but it is going to give you shortest DNS always. For example, you want to download any audio songs from a website, it is going to give you a list of trackers. The trackers are nothing but what? Shorter ones only. First it is going to initiate. So that's what the meaning of what? Resolvers. So what is replication? Replication uses the services of TCP. Translation, resolvers are using the services of UDP. So replication service is activated. Every server distributes its changes. It's done to ensure that every servers are having consistent dates. So changes to a server can be a new IP address is used. If at all some systems are going to be crashed. If DNS packet size, very important, if DNS packet size is a greater than 512 bytes, use TCP. If DNS packet size is lesser than 512 bytes, lightweight, use UDP. So these are the important points according to DNS. Okay friends, so this is how about the different types of protocols. A gunshot 1 mark question without memorizing any formulas. You can able to do this. And please subscribe our channel. Please subscribe our channel. Unacademy is running very good programs on Let's Crack GATE ESE YouTube channel. Subscribe it. Hit the bell icon. Please convert your admission into Unacademy. So once you become a subscriber into Unacademy, then you're going to see that unrestricted access. So on free content, we can able to discuss up to some extent. So once you become a member into Unacademy, then you're going to see that unrestricted full length content. And to see that Unacademy is starting.
It's time to experience something glorious. Unacademy Combat. Compete, crack, conquer.
A challenging GATE contest engineered to give you an experience like none other.
where you put your knowledge to test.
and battle it out with the best.
To bring out the best in you,
Unacademy Combat is the most competitive gamified contest for GATE till date, with the best of the questions by best educators.
With detailed video solutions from top educators right after each contest.
Combat live with peers to get real-time rankings and win big.
participate in every contest to improve your ratings.
Challenging contests every fortnight or alternate Sunday. Live ranking after every question. Big rewards for top rankers. Your passion to crack GATE deserves this. Your hard work towards your dream deserves this. Fuel your inner fire for the ultimate GATE challenge. Unacademy Combat. Register now. It's time to experience something glorious. Unacademy Combat. Compete, crack, conquer.